Okay, so I'm just going to wrap this up. We're going to keep it really simple because what we're going to do is we're going to tie it all back. So we've gone through why, we've gone through visual standards, and I'll recap a little bit in a while. We've gone through the audio standard, which is a growing requirement. I'm not sure how many of you know this, but actually, I believe it was early last year that MediaCorp announced that it would be not only taking on the file-based delivery, but that they will implement the new audio standard as well. Okay, so this is a current thing. This is not like, oh yeah, in the future someday we'll use the new audio standard. This is something MediaCorp is asking for today. Okay, whether everybody can do it is the question. So if you, as a diligent media professional, have the want and the desire to meet that standard, I think it really helps, because like what Kevin said, it will really help you with all your work outside of the country as well. We didn't really understand how important this was until we began to deliver for other countries. When you deliver to South Korea or wherever, you realize that they will squeeze you. They will require you to meet their standard, and if you don't, they will make you redo. Okay. The other thing I want to emphasize very quickly is the idea that it is important, I think, that we all really try to level up, that we all do our best to meet that standard, so that if at any point you are called upon to do that Discovery Channel project, or to deliver to a different spec, okay? Because if I'm not wrong, and Kevin can correct me, the States uses -24 LKFS and stuff like that. So the adaptation will be a lot easier than having to start from scratch. Okay? So I'm just going to do a very few slides. I'll just very quickly run through with you. Okay, so we'll talk about file exports. Okay? Okay, export formats. Okay, so we saw this earlier just now. Okay, so this is a HD MXF OP1A file spec. Okay. At first when you see it's like, oh, what is this exactly? In actual fact, right, not that much has changed from tape. The difference is that now the settings are not defaulted on your deck. You actually have to know what you're doing in terms of what you're delivering. This is actually from MediaCorp. This is MediaCorp's delivery spec. Okay, it uses something called the XDCAM 50. I'll talk to you about what that is in a short while. What I want you to realize is this: every one of these deliverables, right, uses this container called the MXF OP1A. Okay, MXF OP1A. It is the container for delivering your broadcast files. Now, this is not to be confused with codec. Okay, what the heck is a codec? Codec is not the film company that is in bankruptcy. That one's a different issue. Codec is C-O-D-E-C. Okay, codec is compression, decompression. Okay, codec. Okay, in other words, how is the file being compressed, and how is it being decompressed for usage, for viewing? Okay. And in this case, right, they have mentioned that it's XDCAM 50. Now, not every single MXF OP1A will be XDCAM 50. If you were to deliver SD for, this is also MediaCorp, by the way. If you were to deliver SD for MediaCorp, it will be MXF OP1A, but using this thing called the IMX30 format. So what's IMX30? IMX is a different codec. So remember, the two things are separated. You have the container called the MXF. It's a .mxf file, IMXF OP1A. And inside the container can be any kind of codec. And that's where you've got to pay attention in the spec sheet. You have to understand what they want inside the container. And in this case, they want IMX30, which is also known as MPEG IMX. It's a format that was propagated by Sony back in the early 2000s at 30 megabits per second. Just now, what we looked at was XDCAM HD422. So those of you who shoot with Sony cameras, you might have heard of that format before. XDCAM HD422 started out as a disc. Remember the XDCAM disc? Does anybody still have the XDCAM disc? I think it's pretty much like a museum relic right now. Okay. Oh wow, Dustin's got one. So Dustin's got one. Okay. But then now, if you shoot on S-by-S cards, okay, who here shoots on S-by-S cards? Okay, Sony would be so proud. Okay, so if you have S-by-S cards, you can shoot, if you have the right camera, XDCAM HD422. So remember, the codec, the way it's compressed, and then the container are two separate issues. So what they're asking for in that previous page was, I want you to use an MXF container, okay, and I want you to put an XDCAM HD422 50 megabits per second codec inside it. Okay, I want you to wrap it up in an MXF. Okay, so that's what it essentially means. Let's look at another one. This is BBC's codec spec sheet. Okay, BBC spec sheet. They adhere to something called the AS11 standard. Okay. AS11 standard is something that's, from what I understand, completely embraced by the entire UK, and all UK uses AS11. What is AS11? Okay, AS11 basically means that you still deliver an MXF OP1A, okay, but it has a specific codec they want you to use with specific metadata. The codec they want is this one. It's called AVC Intra. Can anyone tell me who created AVC Intra? The people in the middle there should know. Huh? You don't? Okay, AVC Intra is a Panasonic codec. Okay? So this is not about a rivalry of like which is better, Sony versus Panasonic. That's got nothing to do with it. It's got to do with what the broadcaster wants. So you cannot assume, right, that just because you say MXF OP1A, it's always XD-Cam, it's always XD-Cam, it's always like that. It's not. It is just the container. So the innards, right, the contents, right, in this case, they want AVC Intra and a specific high data rate of 100 megabits per second. So even higher, twice as high as what the Sony one is delivering. Okay? So remember that it is all about codec, the container, what's inside the container, right? Okay? Moving on. And of course, with MXF OP1A, right, is a great amount of flexibility. One of the things that's wonderful about using MXF OP1A as a container is that they tend to be multi-channel. So you can actually squeeze a lot of tracks inside. So it isn't just, oh, you know, let's put in stereo and MNE. No, more. We can put the whole 5.1. Okay, 5.1 basically means 6 channels. The 5 channels plus the subwoofer is 6 channels, and also the stereo. So that's 8 channels in one file. Not only that, they can do multiple languages. So you can do 5.1, 2 tracks of stereo in English, 2 tracks of Mandarin, 2 tracks of Malay, 2 tracks of Tamil. In fact, right, the largest MXF they usually make is usually like 16 channels of audio, okay, and it can go beyond. Okay, so in the past, for those of you who worked with tape, what was the most number of channels we could ever put on any tape? Does anyone remember? I believe it was HD-Cam SR. I could be wrong, but I think it was HD-Cam SR. The most you could ever put on a tape was 12. So now, right, with file-based delivery, right, we actually are able to exceed that limit. So a lot of times, I personally see file-based delivery not as a disadvantage or a hassle, but actually it's a boon. We can go faster than real time, we can deliver in a more efficient manner, and we can deliver in a more concise manner with many, many deliverables embedded in one deliverable. Today, if you want to encode MXF OP1, the wonderful thing about delivering MXF OP1A, I came to this forum wondering how many of us are actually doing it. The great thing is this, even if people couldn't make it, they would send me an email saying, you know, even though we can't come, I got to tell you that delivering by file-based has been one of the best things that has happened to our company because it has saved us a ton of money. Okay, we no longer have to buy D-Beta tapes, we no longer buy HD-Cam tapes, we no longer go to post houses to dump out tapes. Okay, and for those of you who know how much a deck costs, a deck can cost anywhere from 40,000 to 80,000 to 120,000 US dollars for a deck. That's not even including the tapes. That's not even including the edit station. That's just the deck. Okay? I remember we had a conversation once at my old company where we said, oh, you know, hey, they're selling a D-Beta recorder, and they're selling for 20,000. It's a steal, you know. 20,000 is a steal. That was the way we spoke. Okay? That we thought that was a great thing already. We could buy a D-Beta deck for the first time in our lives. But today we don't even want the deck anymore. We want to send it by a file. We don't even worry about a physical form. Okay? So, if we had to encode today, what do the various software support? Which software supports MXF export and who can do it? Okay, I'm very happy to announce, right, that actually almost every platform has resolved it. Because of the need of the world, right, every editing platform, every NLE, every non-linear editing software has basically risen to the challenge. Okay? So, of course, we have Premiere here, where I think since CC onwards, I could be wrong, I could be CS6, but I think CC onwards it's been built in as a deliverable. In the most recent updates, I think 6 months or a year ago, AS11 was introduced. Okay, so it keeps getting better. But that's not the only platform. Avid Media Composer has been able to do MXF OP1A deliverables since version 6. Okay, so again, an upgrade. It's rolling out, it's coming out. Okay, Apple Final Cut Pro X, for the longest time, couldn't do it. And then now recently, I think it was in December, they introduced this thing called the Pro Video Formats download. So it actually updates your codecs, and suddenly you can export MXF OP1A from Final Cut Pro X, and compressor, and I think motion as well. Basically, it will plug into the OS and enable all of the Apple applications to suddenly export MXF OP1A. So that's great. What if you're working in Final Cut Pro 7? And you shouldn't, okay, by the way. But if you are, okay. I know a lot of us are on Final Cut Pro 7, okay. I think we have no illusions that a lot of people love Final Cut Pro 7. It's very, very well loved. Okay, and a lot of people are still using it. Can you stay on it forever? The answer is no. With things like 4K coming out, it's very hard for Final Cut Pro 7 to really to embrace the new codecs. So things like, for example, have you guys ever seen that crazy low light camera, the A7S? You know, the one that can shoot at midnight and make it look like midday. Okay, crazy camera. Okay, but that camera uses this codec called XAVC. It can shoot, and so it's getting harder and harder for Final Cut Pro 7, which can only use 4 gigs of RAM anyway, to be able to deal with these codecs. So there's a lot of conversion in progress. But if you are still using Final Cut Pro 7 today, we're not going to condemn you, okay? And there's actually a way out. There is actually a package, a legacy package called the Sony XDCam Transfer Software, which you can download for free, that enables you to export MXF OP1A. Okay? So even with the older software, there is recourse. Okay? So there is actually no real reason anymore why we should not or cannot deliver file-based, and it will save you a ton of money. It is highly advisable, and I think a lot of you are already doing it, and we're very glad to see that Singaporeans really embraced this idea very well. Hopefully not just because of the cost savings. Okay? And if you have to use a third-party software, of course there are options. There's Harmonix Pro Media Carbon, also known as Rosette previously. Okay? Unfortunately, it's only on the Windows platform. You can also use things like Calibrated Q, Import Assist, okay? But it doesn't actually do any encoding, it just does rewrapping, okay? But there are various options out there, and they are getting cheaper and cheaper, and they are getting more and more accessible. Okay? So with that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go about doing a very, very quick demo on exporting. And to do export, right, I want to talk to you very quickly about multi-channel as well. Not every one of you will deliver multi-channel. I believe, if I'm not wrong, maybe Kevin can advise me, does MediaCorp still ask mainly for stereo deliverables for broadcast? Okay. Do they ask for any other channels besides stereo? Do they get like M&E or multi-language or anything? Final mix, dialogue, and M&E. Okay. So there are still multi-channels. I would say 6 in total, or 5? 6, so 6 tracks. Okay, so even with MediaCorp, even though you're not doing 5.1, you still need 6 tracks. Okay, so what I've done is I've actually set up Premiere with a timeline here that already has 6 tracks in it. So I just want to show you very quickly that it's there. Okay, so audio track meter. I want to notice, right, that as I don't really have sound here, sadly, but you can see that I've got 6 outputs here. I got 8 outputs here. Okay, and so you actually need to do this. Why do you need to set up a timeline that's got multiple track outputs? Because when you export, and if you export MXF OP1A, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go to export, okay, MXF OP1A, media, showing this, okay. So you can see here, right, there's a whole bunch of things in the drop-down menu, okay. The only thing that really matters for today is these two. You have MXF OP1A, okay, which is what you need to deliver, okay, and then there's AS11, which is what the Brits use, okay. So if you look at the AS11, right, there are only 2 options. It's either HD or SD. Okay, because the standard is really fixed. Okay, it's very, very well specified. Under MXF OP1A, if you click on it, you get a totally different story. Can you see that the list, right, goes from AVC Intra Class 50 through to IMX30. Remember we talked about IMX30 just now? This is what MediaCorp wants for SD, IMX30. Okay? Then you keep going down, you get like the stuff that we haven't started using yet, like XAVC Intra 4K. Okay, that stuff is unless you're delivering to Netflix today, probably you haven't started using it yet, okay? And then you finally get into XDCam EX, XDCam HD 422, and finally you get to what MediaCorp wants, which is this, XDCam HD 50 PAL 50i. A lot of broadcasters use this setting. So this is probably the most dominant setting that we will ever use. So just keep in mind, if you ever need to deliver a broadcaster, it probably is this, okay? Chances are, very high chance, okay? But remember what we said just now? Codec versus container. So these are the codecs. The container is still called MXF OP1A, regardless. So I'm going to click on this, okay? Why did I bother with the audio? Because I want you to see that under audio now, we actually have multiple channels to output, okay? So it's very different from the past where we are restricted by the tape. We're no longer restricted by the tape. The tape is not the issue anymore. And for those of you who remember tape, D-Beta was 4 channels. It was really, really very restrictive. HDCam was also 4 channels. But now we can do like theoretically 32 channels, which is just crazy, okay? But it's crazy good, okay? So I actually know, I recently was teaching at HBO, and I don't think I'm giving away any secrets by saying this, but they can actually embed multiple languages. So the Hindi, the feed that goes out can be Vietnamese, plus English, plus Mandarin, plus Cantonese. 4 languages in one file. So it saves a lot of effort in terms of creating multiple files. You actually create one file with one kind of censorship, then with multiple languages. Okay, so it's really advantageous. Okay, so let's just do 8 channels for now. Okay, and I want you to realize that, okay, we've got all of this smart rendering codec, all this doesn't really matter, but because I've set it up already, so I've got a file that I can export now. I'm not going to export the whole thing, okay, because we ain't got time. But I just want to show you something very, very quickly. Okay, before I export, I just want to point out one more thing to you guys for audio. Kevin very kindly showed us all the various brands of meters. Now the thing is this, unless you do audio engineering day to day, it's highly unlikely you can justify having it. But if you are an audio engineer, of course, by all means, you should be buying the loudness meters from the various companies. What Premiere has done, which is quite interesting, is they actually include a loudness meter as well. But a lot of people don't actually know it's there. Okay? In case you're wondering, the loudness meter, right, it is not this guy. It is not this meter. Okay? This is the old DBFS meter that we use for traditional broadcast standard. Okay? The meter that I'm talking about, right, it exists here. So I'm going to Window, I'm going to Track Mixer. As an effect, right, you can add on the loudness meter here. It's under Special. Okay? Then you can see Loudness Radar. Okay? And under Loudness Radar, if you double click and open it, you will see the Loudness Radar. It's inbuilt into Premiere as well as Audition. Is it as good as the rest? I honestly don't know. It probably isn't. Not because Premiere is bad or Adobe is bad, but I suspect that if you pay money, you usually get better things. Would you agree? Okay? If you buy a $12 bowl of prawn noodles, it probably tastes better than the $2 one, yeah? Yes? No? Not likely? Okay, never mind. Okay, so it does have all the settings. You have the various standards. You have your LUFS and everything else. You can set your target loudness and your target peak. Okay? So not as detailed, definitely, as Kevin's one. But if you're an editor and not a sound engineer, it might be useful for you to just do quick checks. Okay? What doesn't change? You still got to play the whole program. Okay? It doesn't change. You still got to watch the entire thing. So if it's a 1 hour program, 1 hour's time, then you'll find out. Okay, so it still takes time. Okay, so that's the loudness meter. Okay, let's talk about exporting. Okay, so if I export, okay, and I'm going to just do a very, very quick export now. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left. Okay, I'm just going to export a very short section of my video. Okay, so I'm just going to take this. I'm going to go to my custom. I'm just going to take probably like 30 seconds worth of it, not very much at all. Okay. Okay, let's go with 20 seconds about there. Okay, and I want to export this. So the nice thing about working in Premiere, which I really like, which I think now other software are starting to do as well, is I can actually queue it up in Media Encoder. So I don't actually have to do it in Premiere itself. So I'm just going to take this. I'm going to specify my output. I'm going to say it's 8 channels. Okay, and I'm going to queue it up, and it will launch Media Encoder. Okay. The only reason why I'm showing you this is just to understand that, you know, this is how MXF file gets made. Okay, so this is my media encoder, and it's queued up. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to be a very bad editor and save it on the desktop. Nobody should ever do this. Okay, but I'm just going to be a bad editor for today and just do it on my desktop. Okay, but I also want you to understand one other thing about Premiere, which is quite interesting. Remember just now we talked about how speed grade, right? With speed grade, all of the color correction, all the color grading, right, is embedded as information on the file. So remember, right, I'm not sure if you all realize, we never actually render our speed grade. There is no rendering process in speed grade in the new round trip workflow. You actually embed the color data into Premiere, and then that gets rendered out at the very final stage when you're ready to export from Premiere. Okay, so there is no need to actually go and render the color separately. But the other thing that a lot of people tend not to know about Premiere is this. I can actually do this. I can make a change to the edit right now, which, as I said, nobody should be doing, right? So new, let's say let's pretend I've got a subtitle. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to say, let's type something here. Okay, so something like that. Okay? Yeah, it's actually a karaoke. I'm making a karaoke video. Okay, so now, given traditional mentality about NLEs, right, this makes no sense. I just added something, okay, to a video that I already set to export. Doesn't that mean that everything I'm doing now will get exported as well? Okay? Because what happens is the client came in and said, I need 2 versions. I need one version, right, clean, no text. I need one version with text. Okay, but what I'm doing now is I'm modifying the original sequence, which makes no sense. Why would I modify the original sequence? So I'm going to take this, I'm going to create this text, I'm going to bring it into the sequence. okay? And I'm just going to put it on top here. So you guys are witnesses. You know, right, that there's a version I just sent out, okay, before I did this, and now there's a version I'm sending out now with this, okay? So same thing, I'm going to export the media. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Okay, I'm going to do custom, and I'm going to say, okay, same thing lah, about 20 seconds or so, okay? And I'm going to queue it up. So same exact setting, okay? I'm going to use XDCAM 50, okay? And I'm going to queue it up. Now, what happens here is that media encoder actually uses the GPU as well. So for those of you who have fantastic gaming cards or graphics cards from NVIDIA or AMD, you're going to feel the difference here. So same thing, I'm going to set it to desktop. I'm going to do demo 2, okay, two different videos, okay? I'm going to encode. Now, this is the part I like the most. I can actually go to Premiere now and I can shut down Premiere. Because Premiere doesn't actually need to be open for media encoder to encode anything. Now that makes no sense. Wait a minute. If media encoder is encoding, where is it encoding from? What's the source? Where did it come from? How do we encode something when the program is not even open? Okay? So this is not background encoding. This is something else. This is what is happening actually. Okay? The key lies in the fact, right, that if you take After Effects, you can throw it into media encoder. You can take many different things. That's, by the way, it tells you it's done. By the way, if it fails, right, have you all heard it before? It's actually quite cute. It goes meh. It's actually a goat bleating, I think. Yeah, I think recently in the newest version they took it out. It was quite cute though. I actually quite liked it. Okay, so we've got 2 files here. Okay, and I actually shut down Premiere when I was doing this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is this. I'm going to go and I'm going to get Premiere open. I'm going to show you guys the files. Okay, so let me just go do this. Okay, I'll do a very quick import for you all to see. Import the 2 files from the desktop, demo 1 and demo 2 MXF. Okay. First version that I created has no text. The second version has text. Okay? Because when you send out to a queue, you're not sending the sequence. You're sending a snapshot of the sequence at that moment in time. Okay, so media encoder actually understands what the sequence looks like at that moment, memorizes it and uses only that instance. Think about how you can use this. Imagine, right, that you've got 4 languages to deliver. English subtitle, Korean subtitle, Thai subtitle, Vietnamese subtitle. You can actually turn on the English subtitle, queue. Come back to the same sequence, turn off the eyeball properly, unlike me. For the English, turn on the Vietnamese, queue. Come back to Premiere, turn off the eyeball for the Vietnamese, turn on the Chinese, queue. Come back, queue the, was it Thai I said? Queue. Hit play, quit Premiere, go for coffee break. Come back, you've got 4 versions. So unlike in the past, right, where we actually had to wait and say, oh, this one finished, then we queue the next one, and we go again. Or create multiple sequences. This is one sequence that has that has every single version inside. It's like a master sequence that contains everything. Okay, so again, this is not Adobe sales pitch because Adobe didn't sponsor the event. Okay, but I just wanted to give you guys a sense of how workflow can empower you. Okay, so the fact that we are now delivering via tape, we can go faster in real time. Do you all realize that the export happened faster in 30 seconds? Then the 40 seconds I queued up. I queued up 40 seconds of content, right? It finished running in 20 seconds. In the days of tape, that was impossible. You just got to wait. You just got to wait it out, wait for it to finish. 30-minute program, 30-minute wait. Okay? In fact, more. You actually got the pre-roll and stuff. Okay? Color bars. By the way, I'm not sure if you all realized in the MediaCorp spec sheet, right? Do you realize they said that you no longer need color bars? You just deliver, right? First frame is content already. Okay? Because the color bar is effectively quite useless in this situation. There's nothing to calibrate to. Okay? So it's a brave new world, and at this time we're actually done with this particular talk. Okay, what we're going to do now is going to get all the people on stage, okay, and we're going to do Q&A.